I have this thing called love one another. And I went through the New Testament and found we're going to look at almost every one of the verses that's something about love one another, or one another at least, and to see what it is that God expects from us as it relates to each other. We have a tendency in church to think that it's just about me and God, instead of me and God and me and you. And we actually express our love for God in the way we love each other and the way we love the world. And someone says, I love God. Yeah, but you don't love anyone else, so you don't really love God. You love God, and you can measure that by how you're doing in the body. And sometimes we have this thing that love means how I feel about someone. And be very cautious about love being a feeling. Love is action as much as it is feeling. Now, there needs to be passion in love, but there has to be action in love. And so often someone will say, well, I love that person. Yeah, but you treat them terribly. And the truth is, you don't love someone when you treat them terribly. Because love is this action of doing something towards someone else, not just how you feel. We also have the tendency to think that we do nice things, but we hate that person. That would not be love either. Just doing nice things doesn't mean you love that person. It could be the facade of hate. I don't really care for that person. I don't really like that person. Now, how many times have you heard someone say, I love them, I just don't like them? Have you ever heard that? How many of you have heard that? That's a lie. No, you don't love them. And you're going to find that out as we look at the scriptures. What it really means to love one another. And it's impossible you say, I just don't like them. When we get down to some of the activities of love, you're going to find out that that's impossible. Now, you can say, I don't have much in common, right? How many of you love to fish? How many of you don't care if you ever fish? Yeah, see? So I guess we don't like each other. I like you, brother, because I hate fishing. All I do is drown minnows and drown worms, you know? But some people love it and they live for it. Well, okay, you can have differences that has nothing to do with love. Nothing to do with love. And so what I want us to look at is some commands, first of all, to love. So John 13:35. So what's it say? By this shall all men know that you are my disciples if you have love. So put love in there. You have love one for another, one to another. Now it doesn't say for some, but everyone. Love one to another. I think the part of the problem we have in church is that we do not tell the world, look at the way we love, and you'll be amazed. Because we're just like the world. We're tolerant of some, and others we don't like. And some we get along with, and we're great buddies. But if you're not in my little group, we don't accept you. And we kind of turn our back on you. And yet that is not the expression of love. How are we any different than the world when it comes to love if we label everyone with a title on how they act or what they talk like, what they look like, how much money they have, how much they don't have, how many kids they have, how many kids they don't have? If we do all of that segmenting of people, how are we loving everyone? It's impossible. In fact, we're no different than the world. You know, the world, it's really interesting today. You know, we hear some interesting messages. One is that women are equal to men. Right? Right? Under God, Jesus died for each one of us. We're all equal. Amen. But there are very few women in here who could beat me in an arm wrestle. Why do you think that is? Because we are not equal in that sense. Right? I'm worried that there might be one or two in here might beat me. Notice I qualified that. Most women in here. You know, and you start looking at some things and you say, wait a minute. The physiques are different. So there are differences. And our world wants to say everyone's the same. And yet the world is focused on our differences. Color, religion, everything's about how we're different. We're supposed to get this blind eye to all of that, and yet we are very focused on it. But you look at what the Bible says, it doesn't matter what color you are, or what shape you're at, or whether you're a woman or a man. This is our call, our command to love each other. and to care for each other. John 15:12 says, "This is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you." How has he loved us? How has God loved you? Unconditionally. You need to write that down. Unconditional love. Unconditional. What does it mean to be unconditional? It makes no difference anything you say, do, smell like, act like. I still love you. I still love you. You don't even have to love me in return. Christ, you remember Romans 5:8? God demonstrates his love towards us in that while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. We're his enemies. You know the gospel story, right? When did Jesus die for us? When you were an enemy. You and I were standing at the cross, spitting at him, accusing him, telling him he's worthless, and he stood there, and he was hanged there, and he was on that cross saying, I love you and I'm going to die for you even though you're spitting at me. You were his enemy, I was his enemy, and he died for us. You are to love in the way God loves. What good is it that you love people who are loving towards you? Isn't that easy? Isn't it easy? Isn't it? But Jesus said to love your enemies. My goodness, we got Christians that can't even love other Christians, let alone their enemies. Look at the third verse, 1 John. Now we go into John's letter. Beloved, let us love one another. For love is of God, and everyone that loves is born of God and knows God. Do you know what that means? If you can't love, you don't have God in you. You need to measure whether you really know God by how you love those who are unloving, those who are unkind to you, those who mistreat you, those who talk about you, those who lie to you. How are you in love with them, in the loving actions towards them? Listen to 1 Peter 1:22. Seeing you have purified your souls in obeying the truth through the Spirit unto unfeigned love of the brethren. Unfeigned. Anybody know what that means? Unhindered. Unhindered love of the brethren. See that you love one another with a pure heart, fervently. So write down fervently at the end there and love in the middle. Fervently. See that you love one another. That is not a suggestion. Oh, I love some people fervently and others, I keep, if they don't show up at church, it's okay. Really? Fervently. When you love something fervently, what does that tell you in your mind? What does that mean to you when you hear the word fervently? Somebody, what does it mean to you? Huh? Passionately? What else? Actively. What else? Energetic. What else? How about I just want to? Fervently, it means I think about it. On the way to church, I'm thinking, Lord, how can I help somebody today? How can I minister to someone? How can I love someone today? How can I fervently love them? I know they weren't very nice to me last week. They said my hair looked terrible. I understand that but Lord, I want to love them fervently. How do I do that? I want to have passion in that. I want to care about them. Lord, I want to love that person today. How do I do that? It's a command. That last section in 1 Peter 1:22 says, see that. That word see that, kind of circle that, see that. What does see that mean? Make sure you do it. I would, I've said this before when my kids would say they forgot something. I said they made no effort to remember. See to it. Which means you put effort into loving others. It means you plan to do it. If you wait till you feel like it, you won't do it. You understand? You'll always be a responder. You'll always be someone who says, well, I love when I'm loved. Well, isn't that nice? It's just not godly. That's easy. The world can do that. If the world can love when they're loved, what good is your love that you have for God? That you can't love without being asked, without somebody doing it for you first. How about you do it first? How about you plan it? How about you plan to love someone without them doing anything first? Fervently, see to it, make every effort, plan Sit there and say, Lord, how can I love that person today? What can I do? Instead of waiting for them. All right, there's the command. Now let's look at the attitudes of love. Romans 15:7 says, wherefore, blank one another. Smack one another? No. As Christ also received us to the glory of God. Receive one another. Receive. Now listen, this is a command. It isn't. Now listen, there are people you like and get along with, people you agree with, people you don't agree with, and receive those that you agree with. Be friends with them. Have a little party. Have your little group. Make sure that everybody in your little group gets along, and make sure that you at least have some friends in church so that everybody knows that you're part of that little clique. But that's not what it says. It says receive each one. That means to receive someone. I want to spend some time on this, not today, but another time. When you receive someone, you're saying, I will take you just as you are. Now stop trying to remake everybody in your world into your image or the image you think they're supposed to be. It is God's job. Now, I am not suggesting that you don't challenge. I am not suggesting that you don't exhort. We'll get to those words. But first, you've got to receive them like they are. How many of you are perfect in here? Raise your hand. Okay, mine's not up. Raise your hand. Nobody's perfect. So I cannot receive any of you because you're not perfect. You understand the problem with that? Because once you start making a list of certain things I can receive, certain things that I will accept as long as you fit those things, no one fits. And you won't receive anyone. You'll only like people that you like what they are like. And that's not what the verse says. It says if you've got someone in your life that's not treating you right, you've got someone in your life that's not nice, your job is to receive them. To say, you know what, I'm going to treat you as if you were my best friend. Now you teenagers have a tough time with this. It's hard, but you have to say to someone, you know what, that guy's obnoxious, that woman, that girl's obnoxious. I mean, that girl's rude, and you have to say, I'm going to receive them like they are. That means I'm going to accept who they are, and I'm going to love them in response. I'm going to treat them like I have been treated by God. I was unacceptable to God. Isn't it time for you to accept someone who's not like you? Isn't it time for you to say to someone, you know what, you're not like me, but you know what, I like you. You're all right. And then back of your mind, you're going, I hope he changes a little. I know what you're thinking. I understand. You're not telling them they're perfect. You're not perfect. Why can't you just be kind to someone who's not kind? Someone who's a little silly. Someone who's a little bit rude. Listen, receive each other. That means you look at other people and you just simply say, I love you in Jesus. In fact, I like being around you. There is every one of you, I can say good things and bad things. Can't you? Come on, people. Come on. Every one of us have good points and bad points, right? Everybody here with me?
Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Every one of us could stand. Let's pick on Chris. Okay? We're going to say all the good things about Chris. And we come up with a whole bunch of good things about Chris. Doesn't have to comb his hair. You know, it's a good thing. He's kind. He's considerate. He works hard. You know, there are lots of things like that. So we receive those things. And those other things that are negative, and I'm not saying them. You know what? Love covers a multitude of sins, is what the scripture says. Now, what does that mean? It means stop looking at their faults. That's how you receive someone. Just stop looking at what their faults are. We could all point at each other and come up with faults. When you receive someone, you take them just like they are and you love them in spite of those faults. You focus on the good things and you look past the other things. Now, there are other things you do in love, but what you do is you just receive someone. You have to do this in your home. You have to do this, husbands and wives, kids. There comes a point when you're going to have to receive your own kids and say, you know what, Lord, this little you gave me, I received this little girl, this little boy, just like she is or he is. This is the one you've given me. All right, look at Romans chapter 12, verse 10. Show family affection. Show family affection one to another with brotherly love. And then in honor, preferring one another. Preferring one another. Show family affection. You know, sometimes we just put up with family, don't we? Sometimes you just say, oh, bless her heart, that's our sister, that's our brother. But they're family, we love them, right? Now, I understand that family can be a real pain. And there can be real problems in family. And some of you, I know, you've come out of homes where, oh, my goodness, family can be torture time. I know. It can be difficult. But often what we do with family is we kind of, you know, bless his heart, that's the southern thing, where you roll your eyes and go, he's my dad, you know. You love him. You kind of look past. Listen, that's what he's saying to do with people in church. Show some familial affection. Treat each other like brothers. Listen, in a lot of churches, they call each other brothers and sisters, right? Well, when you emphasize this idea of being brothers and sisters, it puts you on this family thing, which just kind of, you know, they're family. You go have parties with them and they're family. You know, you kind of smile and have family. But look at this last one, in honor, preferring one another. What does that mean to prefer one another? It actually means putting the other person first, to allowing them a place. Now this is in the next word as well, so let's look at it as well. Look at Ephesians 4:2. With lowliness and meekness, with long suffering, forbearing one another in love. Forbearing. This is a great word. Forbearing. What does it mean to be forbearing? Tolerant. Forbearing. Stop taking offense. Stop taking offense. Forbearing. Being tolerant. Okay, so he's a little loud. Quit rejecting him because he's loud. All right, so he tells crazy stories. All right, if he likes things you don't like. Listen, I tell you about hockey all the time. Nobody here watches hockey. Right? How many of you watch hockey when it's on? Yeah, none. Hey, you and me, come on over. I get the NHL ticket. I can see, I don't know how many games. 60 games a week or something. I don't know. It's crazy. Listen. Forbear means, the pastor, he likes hockey. Okay. That means you have to watch it. You like soccer, right? You watch soccer? Do you? Oh, yeah. Not me. I like it when it goes fast. That's called hockey. Hockey is soccer on ice. When you forbear, you are tolerant, you're preferring someone. Let them have their fun. Let them say what they enjoy. Don't say, oh, he's stupid. What's the matter with that guy? Why can't he do that? Why watch that stupid game? I had one guy one time in the church said, I can't believe these guys watch football. I said, really? I watch football? He said, wow, it's just a stupid game. I said, oh, really? Why do you think football is stupid? They just run back and forth on the ball, and they throw the ball in the end, and then the other guy gets the ball and throws it down the other end. He's just running around with you. I thought, wow. Not very forbearing, is it? See, not very tolerant of others and their likes and dislikes and their idiosyncrasies. Every one of us have little things that, you know, could bug us or could not. Forbearing. Allow people to be who they are. Allow yourself to be who you are without sinning. That's what forbearing, tolerant. Colossians 3:13 says, forbearing one another and, here we go, forgiving one another. Forbearing one another and forgiving. If you were more forbearant, you wouldn't have to forgive. If you were more gracious to each other, if you were just saying, hey, that's the way Rob is, you know, hey, you know, you wouldn't have to forgive. But be forbearing, allow people their place, and then forgive when you get offended. You know the goal is not to be offended, right? Forgive, but forgive until you don't take offense. Then you don't have to forgive. You know how you keep from having to forgive? Stop taking offense. You know how you can stop taking offense. Start forbearing. And quit accusing, and quit demanding, and quit expecting. And just love each other. Ephesians 4:32 says, and be kind one to another. Tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as God for Christ's sake hath forgiven you. Kind one to another, tender-hearted. I am convinced that if you want to live together for the rest of your lives with your husband and wife, you got to learn to be kind. You got to learn to be kind. Don't say that word. Don't call them that thing. Don't accuse them of that thing. Listen, when you're kind, you don't have to ask for forgiveness. You don't have to say, I'm sorry. When you're kind, do you really need to say that accusing word? Do you really need to set that person straight? Do you really need to be mean? Do you really need to see them cry? Do you really need to see them hurt? Do you really need to put them in their place? Oh, I know. Here's the one on Facebook. Here it is. Here. I want to give you a piece of my mind. And if you do that much on Facebook, you won't have much left of your mind, giving away a piece of your mind. You know what someone says, I just want to get this off my mind or off my heart. I want to get this, give them a piece of my mind. You know what that means? I'm about to sin. Period. And you're going to have to endure it. When I see someone write off my chest, I just got to say this thing, I usually go, I'm not reading it because it's sinful. Because the heart of it is unkind. Absolutely. And if you have people who are on there, you just write back and say, dude, is this really the way Jesus wants us to talk to each other? You can write that if you'd like, or you can just ignore it, which is what I do. And then finally, if I get enough of those on Facebook, I'm sorry, I don't watch them. I don't follow them anymore. Unkind people are unkind at heart. And kindness is a part of being a Christian. I would question if a person is that unkind, often giving everyone a piece of their mind, that they might not even know Jesus. Kindness is a simple thing. To just simply say, mouth, shut up. Just be quiet. Don't say what you think I used to tell my kids, listen, just because something can be said doesn't mean it should be said. Kindness is sometimes refraining from what you really want to say. Right? You understand? Kindness. Doing what's kind for someone. Listen, another command. Be kind. Tender-hearted. What's tender-hearted mean? Huh? Empathetic. You feel for them. Right? You start thinking about when you're tender-hearted, it's like when a little kid looks so cute playing with the napkins. And you just look at it and go, oh, look at that. She's cleaning up the table. Isn't that sweet? She actually is, by the way. She's cleaning up. Yep, she's slopping up what she spit, maybe. I don't know. Spilled milk, yeah. But look at her. You're so precious. Yeah, I see that. She's got a mouthful of stuff that's getting less precious right now. But, you look at that and you just say, oh, isn't that, you know. Now, if that's a 15-year-old, yeah, we're smacking that kid. Right? But when it's a little kid, you just kind of smile and you go, oh, isn't that cute? You're tender-hearted. But that's the tenderness you need to have toward each other. Instead of this rejecting, oh my goodness, I can't believe she would say that. I can't believe he would do that. Those are all comments of unkindness and lack of a tender heart. You who without sin, throw the first stone. How about when Jesus said, treat others in the way you want to be treated? I've seen some people do something, and I will walk up and say, I understand that that's the way you want me to treat you now. Is that right? Well, what do you mean? Well, Jesus said, do unto others as I have done unto you. Or do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Right? The golden rule. So I just watched you be mean, so I guess you want everybody to be mean to you. Is that right? Right? Does that make sense to you? No. We want the right to be unkind and lacking in tenderheartedness, but we want others to be kind to us and tenderhearted towards us, right? Yeah. That's the problem. The truth is, if you love someone, in the way we're supposed to love each other, we're supposed to be kind and tenderhearted towards them. And then they can turn around and be kind and tenderhearted towards us, and then we're tenderhearted and kind towards them, and pretty soon we got a love fest going on. Okay? Look at the next one. 1 Peter 3:8 says, finally, this isn't finally, but for Peter it was. Be all of one mind. That would be good, wouldn't it? All of one mind. Having sympathy for one another. Love as brethren. Be pitiful. Be humble in spirit. Sympathy for one another. Pitiful. You don't want to look at someone and say, you're pitiful. No. You want to look and say, I have pity on you. Now, I used to think, and probably you do as well, that this idea of being pitiful is, oh, that's pitiful, what they just did. You know, you look at some of these kids in 1st, 2nd, 3rd grade, 10th, 11th, 12th grade, and you look at their writing, and what do you say? That's pitiful, right? It's terrible. Writing today is a lost art. Now, none of these kids write poorly. Yeah, what? Actually, most of them don't. But you know, they write fine. The problem is that we look at that and say, it's pitiful. But that's not what he's talking about. Here he means have sympathy, have some pity on people. You know what? You don't know the trouble those people are going through right now. You don't know everyone's trouble today. Someone walks in and you go, oh, George, you okay, brother? Yeah, look at George back there. He looks kind of down today. I think I'll go lift him up a little bit. That's pity. Now, pity can be a rude thing in that it's demeaning, and it can be, in the sense, it can be putting that person down, or it can be condescending. Pity can be to have this condescending part of it. If it's condescending, then it's not the pity he's talking about. This is called, George came, pick on George. George, you came in today, you look kind of down, looks like you maybe didn't get enough sleep. I'm thinking all of that. Looks like maybe life was kind of tough on you. And you walk up with pity and just say, George, how you doing? You don't say, boy, you look pitiful today. You don't do that. You just say, how's it going, George? Okay. Really? That's great. Yeah, I had a hard time sleeping last night. And all of a sudden, that pity is that sense of he needs encouragement. He needs help this morning. He needs someone to pat him on the back. See, that's what this pity means in the sense of caring for someone, but also this humble in spirit means I'm not too big a person that I don't need someone else coming up to me and saying, are you okay? Humble in spirit means I can be helped, and I can be challenged, and I can be asked without being offended. I remember a preacher one time, evangelist, coming and preaching and basically accused people of whether or not they're really Christians, saying some of you aren't even believers. And it was interesting to me to see who was offended and who wasn't. Because I'm going to tell you, the ones who didn't get offended, I was already certain they were saved. The ones who got offended, I was always uncertain whether they're ever saved. Because the humble in spirit are willing to say, ooh, really? Let me check this out. Okay, yeah, okay. But those who are not humble in spirit are full of pride, and pride will show itself when attacked or accused. And they rear their back, oh, I'm saved anyway. I prayed the prayer and I moved down the aisle, and I know Jesus. You think, no, I don't think you do. See, humble in spirit is about how you take and receive instruction. Or when someone points a finger, listen, if you know Jesus and someone says, do you really know the Lord? I mean, I really wonder, do you really know him? Yeah. Yes, Lord, do I really know you? That's the response of a humble heart. But the prideful heart will stand and rear its back and proclaim theological statements of arrogance. So humble in spirit receives instruction. Ephesians 5:21. Oh, this is a great one. Anybody know what it says? Huh? Submit yourself to one another in the fear of God. It's interesting that Paul uses in the fear of God here. Submit to one another in the fear of God. Why did he say in the fear of God? What in the world does in the fear of God have to do with it? You and I stand before the Lord every moment of every day. How you respond to your friends, how you respond to your parents, how you respond to each other, your coworkers, you stand in front of God every moment. And because of that, you ought to have some fear. You ought to be standing back and saying, Lord, I'm not going to have arrogance here. I'm not going to have pride. I'm submitted to you. I love you, and I want to respond and treat people in the way you want me to treat them. What is this submission thing? Well, actually, he says, submit yourselves to one another. Quit trying to be the top dog. Quit trying to get your way. Quit trying to be the one in charge. Some of your personalities are, I'm in charge. Right? You walk in the room and everybody goes, yes. Quit trying to be in charge. Submit to one another. What if someone says, but we want to do this? Okay. Is it so hard for you to just give up what you want and let someone else have their way? That's what he's talking about. Why? Because we fear God. We love God. And we're going to serve Him. And whatever you want, Lord, you want me to do this? Oh, I'll do that. No problem. Had a man one time who was leading our Sunday school who decided VBS, we're going to have Vacation Bible School, and he wanted us to have the opening. And if you've been in Vacation Bible School, you know always have the big opening, and the pastor leads the opening. And the opening songs I thought were terrible. And they were. And I said, I'd like to substitute those songs with some other songs. And he said, no. I said, okay. And he said, how are you going to do that with any kind of enthusiasm when you disagree with the songs? And I said, oh, you need to watch. I'll show you how to submit. You're in charge. I'll do the songs. But I'm going to guarantee you these kids won't like them the week after, and they will not repeat them later because they're not good singable songs. But I'll do it with enthusiasm. And he said, okay, we'll see. Listen, I can lead any song you want with enthusiasm. It's not hard. But when he said he wanted those songs, I said, okay. And I did those songs, and I did them with enthusiasm, and I led those kids to sing, and those kids never sang them again because they were not good songs. When it was all over, he came to me and said, wow, that was interesting. You did a great job. I said, yeah. But see, that's what submitting yourselves to one another is all about. Do you know that a few weeks later, we were on Sunday nights, we were going to show a video series by Focus on the Family, on home and children and stuff like that. And he didn't come for 2 weeks. And I said, dude, where are you? Why aren't you coming? I don't like those. I thought, Didn't learn a thing, did he? Didn't learn a thing about submitting one to another. His way or no way. That's not God's way. Submitting one to another. All right, let's look at the next thing. Activities. The activities of love. This is how we treat one another. So Hebrews 10:24 says, and let us consider one another to provoke unto love and to good works. Consider and provoke. Consider one another. Let us consider one another. Think about others. Walk into the building and say, I'm thinking about other people, not myself. What do I need? It doesn't matter. It's what they need. I'm here to consider others and to consider how they're doing. I'm looking at their eyes. I'm looking at their actions. I'm watching how they walk. I'm thinking about other people, not myself. It's time to start thinking about other people. And I don't mean, ooh, I don't like that hairdo, or ooh, I don't like that shirt. Not that kind of thinking. About consider each other. And look what he says. Think about each other. Go in there thinking about how can I help someone love and do good works. How can I provoke? No, you can provoke someone to be angry, right? You know how to do that. Find that spot, right? So this word provoke unto love means I'm going to go in here and encourage people, help people, how they can do good things. Hey guys, listen. This morning when I said, hey, would you go get this? And I said, Alex, would you take these things out? And some of you others, Jacob, would you go do this? I mean, Jacob, man. I said, Jacob, would you go over there and just vacuum that stuff? Okay. He just said, okay. Provoke someone unto good works means helping them see and guiding them to do that. And they need to respond with, okay. I was proud of Jacob. Yeah, okay, I did. Some of you guys, everybody just kind of filled in. Nobody said, I got my good shirt on. Nobody did that. But when you provoke someone, you're trying to encourage them to do something good. So you come to church and you say, how do you love each other? I mean, you're provoking each other to do good things. Don't provoke each other to do bad things. Don't get together, girls, and let's get together and talk about somebody. Let's get together and talk about how we can help somebody, not accuse somebody. How can we get together and encourage someone, provoking them? Hebrews 3:13 says, exhort one another daily. This is an interesting term. Exhort, to urge, to encourage, to prompt, to help. Exhort. Some of you have the gift of exhortation. You just talk and people get exhorted, encouraged. But look what it says. Encourage each other monthly. I don't think it says monthly, does it? Oh, no, it says weekly. Only in the worship service on Sunday morning. No, it doesn't say that either. It says daily. Exhort one another daily. This relationship you have with each other needs to be more than Sunday and your little Bible studies or your small groups, or it has to be more than that. If you're going to love each other, it's going to take more than once a week. If you're a once-a-week Christian, you are not going to grow. Not going to happen. You need it daily. You need encouraging daily. Romans 14:19 says, let us therefore follow after the things which make for peace. Wouldn't that be nice? And things wherewith one may edify another. Edify, to build up. Edify means to build up. We say this to kids all the time, by the way. Kids, listen. In this world, it is put others down. How can I put someone down? Mock someone, make fun of someone, accent their negatives. Put that person down. This says to edify one another, build up. How can you be an encouragement? How can you say something kind to someone that would make them feel better? How can you say, well done, hey, a good job. Jacob, how'd you feel when I said you did a good job this morning? How'd it make you feel? Good. Now, if I picked on someone and said, I can't believe you're so stinking lazy. I can't believe, everybody else is working, you're sitting on your duff. What's with you? How would that person feel? How would you feel, Jacob, if I said that to you? Huh? Not so good. No. But you're supposed to be edifying each other, encouraging each other. So you walk into church, wherever you're at, be an edifier, be an encourager, be a builder up. Help people do better. I always, my whole life, have been the kind of person that if I get encouragement, I always do better. And if I get negative feedback, I don't do better. I don't. I go into a little ball and I cry. Negative is hard on me. It's hard on most people. And Paul says, let's edify each other, build each other up. So you walk into church and say, how can I build you up today? How can I build somebody up? Lord, how can I build somebody up today? My goal is to build someone up today. Colossians 3:16. Let the word of Christ dwell in you richly in all wisdom, teaching and admonishing one another in psalms and hymns and spiritual songs, singing with grace in your hearts to the Lord. Singing, by the way. Singing, boys. You got some men say, I don't sing. Well, then you don't do what the Bible says. There are some people that say, I don't sing. Really? Get saved. Because saved people sing. You know why? Because the Bible says to. Even if it does say make a joyful noise unto the Lord. It doesn't say make a quality noise. And, amen. Because some people don't make a quality noise. But it does say make a joyful one. But that's not the point on this one. This word teaching and admonishing, that word admonishing is where nouthetic, counseling, noutheo is the word there for admonish, means to warn or counsel. Warn or counsel someone in psalms and hymns and spiritual songs, singing with grace in your heart to the Lord. This admonishing one another is encouraging one another, helping one another, warning one another, counseling one another. Someone calls you up and says, hey, I'm having a real trouble with that. Let's get together and talk about it. And in the meantime, you get on your Bible, you get on your computer, and you call somebody, you read a book, and you say, I'm going to learn all about this problem so that I can be an encourager and admonisher. I can help someone. I could say to you, how many of you could really help someone who is on this, having marital problems, and somebody say, well, I could kind of help, Hey, listen, you know what you know. Tell what you know. But your job is to admonish. And if you don't know enough, go learn some. Go read a book. Talk to someone. Ask someone. Get to where you can help them. If someone comes to you with a problem they're having and you're not able to help, then find out how to help. Okay? But that's your call. If you're going to love one another, you're going to have to learn to help each other. Galatians 5:13 says, for brethren, you have called unto liberty, only not to use your liberty for an occasion to the flesh, but by love serve one another. You can write in there, what can I do for someone else? What can I do to serve? You ladies that have kids, that's a handful. Sometimes, your hands are full. And sometimes, you're not feeling real well. But you know what? Your goal is to serve each other. Find out how you can serve. It isn't about you being served. It's about you serving. Isn't it interesting? Paul doesn't say, love one another by being served by someone. No, serve one another. 1 Thessalonians 5:11, wherefore comfort yourselves together, edify one another, even as ye do. Edify and comfort. Comfort one another. I don't think that's a blank. Was it comfort a blank in there? No, circle that one. Because your job is to comfort each other. Sometimes you just got to hug somebody. Right? Sometimes you just got to walk up to somebody and give them a hug. There are times when I think, Mary Jo has said, I don't know how to help you. Just hug me, honey. Don't say anything. Just give me a hug. Tell me I'm okay. Sometimes that's all you need. But you need to be this comforting, edifying. Edifying means giving them what they need to encourage them. Encouraging people. Galatians 6:2 says, bear one another's burdens and so fulfill the law of Christ. Bear each other's burdens. How are you going to bear another person's burden? How are you going to do that? Unless you share burdens. Well, my parents taught me you just don't share things. You just buck it up and do it alone. Well, that'll be interesting because this says bear one another's burdens and so fulfill the law of Christ. How do you fulfill the law of Christ if you don't share your burdens with others so they can help you bear them? Often someone will say, yeah, I just went through a really bad time and just wanted you to know everything's a lot better. And I'll say, what? What happened? And they'll tell me what happened. I'll say, dude, if you'd told me, I could have been praying. I guess people don't think about that people could be praying for you. And some of you say, well, I hate to keep asking. Really? Okay, we'll stop praying for you then. Is that what you want? No. If you have a need, you need to share that so others can bear your burden with you and pray for you and encourage you. And some burdens, get lifted. Listen, when we love each other and we have a burden, that person helping us carry that burden makes it lighter for us. You understand? But you can't bear burdens if you don't share your burden. James 5:16 says, confess your faults one to another. There's a good one. Confess your faults one to another. And pray for one another, that you may be healed. I'm not telling people my trouble. Yeah, let me tell you what a person who hides will do. Sin. Hiders always are sinners. Those that get exposed start to get some healing. That's why you confess your faults one to another. Now listen, you don't confess your fault to someone who is a gossip. Don't do it. But pick some people you can trust and just say, listen, would you pray for me? Here's a problem I'm having, and I need some prayer. And can we get together and you just pray for me? Or can I get you some advice? And you start sharing your fault, and all of a sudden you're starting to get held accountable, and someone else is praying for you, and now you start getting some victory. But I guarantee you, if you hide your sin, you will not get any healing. Doesn't work that way. God has created us to be in community, not lone rangers. Understand? The next thing, the last one, 1 Peter 4:9, be hospitable to one another without complaining. That means have people over. Make your house so that others can come. Listen, make your place a home where others can visit you. That means keep it clean. Can't have 12 cats, 13 dogs, and expect anybody to want to come to your house. That's not hospitable. Can I say that any clearer? It is not hospitable to be a mess. Now, it doesn't have to be immaculate. You have to make your place hospitable. And then you have to not complain. You can just say, you know what? Todd's not had water for several days now. He yesterday gave me a big hug and he said, just want to share with you, I haven't had a shower in 3 days. I said, I could tell. You know, I said, Todd, you want to come over to our house? You can have a shower. Come on over to our house and take a shower if you want. He said, hey, thanks, but I think I'm gonna go up to see my sister. And I said, okay. But you know what? You just say, hey, come to our house. Come on over. It's okay. That's being hospitable. And just being open to others and saying, I'm going to make my home as best you can. It doesn't have to be perfect. Listen, you can be poor and have very little and be clean and hospitable, right? This is not about money. You don't have to have the greatest furniture. When friends get together and family gets together, it doesn't matter about the furniture. But being hospitable is about how you receive and just say, come on. Now that's how we're supposed to be treating each other. That's just the verses that say one to another. That isn't even all of how we're supposed to treat each other. Just the ones where that says one to another. And so I'm challenging you to reach out and start loving around you. Receiving people. Go through that list today or later tonight and just sit there and say, Lord, how am I doing on this one? How am I doing on receiving? In fact, Lord, who have I not received? We're probably going to talk about that some more next week, this idea of receiving. But what I want you to do is start saying, Lord, how can I love one another more than I am already?